It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm so happy you could tune in this morning wherever you might be. And if you're listening to a podcast, I'm so excited you can listen as well. If you are live, we're live. If you're listening now to our live show, you can always call us at 877-864-4869 or go to the chat line at toginet.com. I love callers. And also check out all the other great shows on toginet.com. We have great shows, great hosts. But anyway, I'm so happy again you could tune in. It's going to be such a fun show. My guest this morning will be Adriana Vermillion. She is the Potty Whisperer, and she'll be with us in just a bit. And I know when we think about potty training, that can be a little scary. And she wrote a really cute book called I Can Potty 1, 2, 3. So we're going to talk to her all about how to do it. When do you start doing it? Do you bribe your kids? But first, you know what? I can't believe that so many states have such bad weather already. I was watching the news this morning with all the snow and the ice and the frigid temperatures. You know what? I hope it gets warmer for everybody. It's just too early for those cold temperatures, as it is for all the Christmas music and the decorations already. Gosh, we're going to start doing it on 4th of July soon. But anyway, that's another subject. Here in Arizona, it's oh so beautiful, and I'm bragging because, you know what, I didn't complain this year. We had all summer in the hundreds, and I said I wouldn't complain, but it's my turn. I love this weather. It's beautiful. I just hope everybody gets beautiful weather and it's not so freezing and accidents on the road. So good weather for everybody. Enough with the weather report. There was one recall this morning, and let me find it, wherever it is. It was from McDonald's, and it is on my website already. Okay, here it is. It was McDonald's Hello Kitty birthday lollipop whistles. It says the components inside of the whistle can detach, posing a choking and aspiration hazard to young children. And, of course, it's going to go in their mouth because it's a whistle. But I can tell you, whistles were not my favorite toy when my children were little. Oh, they don't stop. It's fun, but they don't stop. Anyway, if you have that whistle, the Hello Kitty birthday lollipop whistle, take it away from your child. Take it back. If you go to mybestparentingadvice.com and my website, babyinstructions.com, go to the recall page. The phone numbers and the email contacts are already there. And so are all the other recalls. And by the way, check your equipment. You know, I say this all the time. If somebody gives you a crib, a stroller, hand-me-downs are absolutely wonderful because everything's so expensive. Go to the recall list. I update it every week. Make sure that your items are not on there. They're very dangerous, and you don't want to try to fix them yourself. There's always phone numbers and website addresses for the companies. So anyway, that was the recall. Also, I did want to mention one other thing that they brought up on the news again. You know, they've come up with these very colorful laundry detergent pods, and they are such a risk to children. They're colorful, they're plastic. It says in the period of a year, 17,230 children under the age of 6 have been accidentally poisoned by these detergent pods. You know, the children who eat the detergent can immediately go into respiratory distress, vomiting. If it gets in their eyes, it can even cause temporary loss of visions. And they look like candy. So if you have these detergent pods, yes, they're really easy. We have them for the dishwasher. They need to be up in a lock cabinet, or if your cabinet's at your child's age, make sure there's a lock on it. And most of all, pay attention to where your children are. When it gets really quiet in your house, chances are they are into something they're not supposed to be. So be careful with those pods. Also, because Thanksgiving will be here in just a few weeks, I can't believe already, you know how I offer tips from my books, My Best Parenting Advice. I Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions and Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. I'm going to do a little something different until we come to Thanksgiving for the next few shows. I wrote an article about thankfulness, appreciation, and gratitude, and I just added a few of my favorite tips onto my websites, mybestparentingadvice.com and babyinstructions.com, and I want to share a few with you just today, because it's never too early to start teaching your little ones about being grateful. We have a lot to be grateful for, and teaching them from the beginning is just the way to start, because we want to continue our whole life and be grateful. So when you pick your baby up, even your little newborn baby, smile. It's so contagious, and it's such a great way to bond, and it makes them feel loved and grateful for you, even though they can't talk. Also, if your toddler is coloring a picture, sit down and color with him. Your time is so much more valuable than any toy can give them. It gives them the love, and you know what? It makes them feel loved and grateful that you're their parent. Also, put some family pictures in your children's rooms. It's a loving way to show that you're always there. And you know what? Again, they're grateful for you, but just make sure they're not at hands level, because your children will take them off the wall or wherever. And if they're babies or toddlers, the paper's going to go in their mouth. But you know what? Tape some pictures, put them in frames, and talk about how happy you are, you know, that you're their mommy and daddy, depending on the age. Anyway, just a few tips, and I will share some tips again until Thanksgiving. Also, I did have a couple things I wanted to tell you about. In the New York Times, they had a really interesting little piece about nations by the most popular birth month. And what do you think the most popular birth month is in the United States? I was thinking this summer, more like June, May, June. You know what? You see a lot of pregnant moms walking around. And, oh, gosh, if you're pregnant in the summer in Arizona, it's so hot. But anyway, in the United States, July was the most popular birth month. In Japan, it was August. In Bangladesh, it was December. In Panama, it was November. Sudan, it was June. And Norway, it was May. So most of the nations have the spring and summer. Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. And if you're pregnant, I hope you're feeling great. I'm going to be a grandma, yay, in May. So we go right along there with the spring. Also, one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. There was another article in the New York Times, and it's called "In Certain Well-to-Do Circles, the Fear of Vaccines is Going Viral." This was really pretty interesting and blew my mind. It said last month, The Hollywood Reporter published an illuminating investigation on immunization trends in Los Angeles County, which revealed that vaccination rates on the city's wealthy west side, in neighborhoods like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, they had plummeted as the incidence of whooping cough surged. Remember when, you know, we had all that and they were telling people to get vaccinated and they weren't. And a lot of adults were getting this, and it's terrible. If you ever heard anybody with that cough, you would just wonder what's wrong with them. It's loud, it's barky, and when a little one gets it, it's scary. They can end up in the hospital. Anyway, so this article was all about the fear of vaccines is going viral between New York and California. I mean, I know in many other states that happens too. And a woman, her name was Eula Bliss, wrote a book called On Immunity and Inoculation. And she said that the idea that vaccinating your children on schedule was now seen as an extreme position. And New York State and city have strict immunization requirements, and a lot of the schools won't let the children in if they're not vaccinated. I mean, I know here in Arizona, you can get a paper and you can say you've opted out of being vaccinated, or you can always say it's for religious reasons. But you know me, I give my opinion, my honest opinion every show. And I have to say, I really feel that it's very, very important to get these vaccinations. And again, that's only my opinion. There are many parents that do not vaccinate, and everybody can do what they want. But I have seen babies that are sick in the hospital. I have seen kids with whooping cough and other things. And the reason we don't have these diseases is because of the vaccinations. The one thing I do want to say that has changed since my children were little, and they're in their 30s, is they give so many at the same time. And it's really pretty scary when you go in and you are going to get your vaccination, but it's not one. They used to give my children, I'm remembering, they used to give them a little polio thing in the mouth, and then they used to give them maybe one shot, and that was it. But I was a nanny for a little girl, and I remember I went in with Mom, and she got her shots, and she got one in each leg, and she got the polio, and then she got one in each arm. And I'll tell you what, I thought, the feeling is you can get it over with if they're going to get a little fever. But then again, if they react to something, how do you know what it is? That's my opinion. All I can say is if you are not going to vaccinate, check it out with your pediatrician, because there are a lot of pediatricians, believe it or not, that will not see children if you're not going to vaccinate them. So it's personal. Whatever you think works for your family, just check it out. So I thought that was pretty interesting because California vaccinates less. New York is getting a little better. So anyway, that was in the New York Times last week. And those are my updates for today. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. We're going to welcome her after the break, unless we have time before. Her name is Adriana Vermillion. She is the Potty Whisperer, and she graduated at 19 years old with a BA in math and science and a minor in business management with a strong desire to become an inventor in Romania. She loved teaching and working with children at a very young age. The psychology books and classes during her last 2 years of college gave her much insight on how kids think, behave, and develop the way they do. Boy, I can't wait to talk to Adriana. She moved to the United States in 1998 and started a company with a focus on family coaching, potty training, and services such as sleep. She had her first potty training client in 1998, and she's now an internationally recognized professional potty trainer who owns trademarks the Potty Whisperer and the Potty Generation. And when we come back, we'll talk to Adriana, so hang in there.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
This is Buzz Local Radio. We had the 3 topics here, and we just added a 4th because we started talking about hot dogs.
Yes. Yep, in a band.
Oh, he's in a band. We both had guitars, so I went over to his house Christmas Day day.
We had to start a band.
And I think we wrote 4 or 5 songs that afternoon.
And Cannibalistic Fish was one of them.
Cannibalistic Fish.
I couldn't do the dreads. My mom would not let me wear my pants backwards to school either. That was wiggity, 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 whack. Yeah.
Buzz Local Radio. Available for free download on TogiNet.com. That's TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so excited to have Adriana Vermillion, the Potty Whisperer, with us today. And I was telling you before the break, she is an internationally recognized professional potty trainer and owns the Potty Whisperer and Potty Generation. And she works with families as a coach and professionally potty trains children from newborn to 12 years. And she also is gifted in working with special needs children and infants, and has a track record of success in America and beyond. And Adriana loves what she does. She's getting a PhD in psychology program with Liberty University. My goodness, how do you have time to do everything? You're an author, a motivational speaker, and potty training alone is enough to make somebody pull their hair out. Adriana, welcome to this show. I'm so happy you could be with us this morning.
Good morning, Blythe. Thank you so much for having me on. How do I have time to do all of that? That's a great question, and you know what? I get that asked a lot. The truth is we all have 24 hours, and I have been called the queen of time management. Well, I do it by managing my time. How's that?
Well, I need some tips because I'm going, wait, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I love everything I do just like you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'll definitely love to give you some tips. So let's talk about potty training tips today, right?
Yes, great idea. And how did you get started? Do you have children that you potty trained or tried to potty train? Or
I came to America in 1998, and I've always been business-minded, and I do have children, but they came later on. And I first started being more of a nanny, parenting kind of a help, and I saw the need of potty training, especially in Chicago and New York. I lived in Chicago back then, and parents loved what I did and how I interacted with children and how they listened to me and followed through, and they called me Potty Whisperer, and I was just a nanny. But I started the company right away, and I got my first paid client in 1998, and I did it more of a friend favor, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
One parent will suggest, oh, you have to try Adriana. She's just amazing. So I did those favors for about a couple of years, and then I got married. I had my children, and I was just frustrated because my son was potty trained before 9 months, and then when I got pregnant with my second child, he decided to be a fireman. That means my house had this little fireman all over the house putting out fires, but I was really burning. And I thought to myself, if I had this much of an issue with regression, I'm sure other parents do. So that's when I went public. And that's how potty training started, potty generation, and became the Potty Whisperer.
You know, it does come a lot of times from experiences with our own children, because my son was kind of hard to train. My daughter was easy. It seems like girls are easier than boys. Is that true or not really? What do you find?
That is a question I'm being asked almost daily, but that is not true. And I am going to have to write an article or maybe a book on that, because every single child is different. Doesn't matter if their sex is different. It matters in some ways because you cannot always use the same tips or the same plan or program with each child. But I have to say, in my experience, my daughter did potty train by 4 months, and my son was potty trained by 9 months. And then I had to re-potty train him at 2.5. So in my experience, yes, it was much easier. However, in other experiences that I have with my clients, no, it's not always the same.
You know, I'm glad you're saying that, because I say that all the time. You know, with my books, I say I know all my tips work, but not every tip is going to work for every child, because they are all different. Right. And that's what's so exciting, because there's so many ways to do things. So is there a secret to potty training?
There is. And believe it or not, every parent knows it. And it's just one word. And a lot of them expect to hear consistency, but it's not. It's patience. And during this time, perhaps we need more patience than we ever probably imagined, because when you start potty training, it's not one of those get quick scheme type of thing, like get rich quick or get potty trained quick.
Right.
It takes time. And just about anything that needs to be done, excuse me, my voice just decided to go out. Just about anything that you want to do right takes time and patience. And I'm happy to see that some professionals or professional potty trainers are able to do it done or get it done in one day or one weekend. I've done that as well. However, many children, what need from you as a parent is patience. And that is the secret.
Well, let me ask you a question, because my thoughts were the child has to be ready. I mean, if they don't know what they're doing, how can you teach them? Is that true?
It is to some consent, I would say, to some degree. However, let's just go back a little bit when you were pregnant, or when I was pregnant, or when moms are pregnant. Does the child go potty when the baby is in the womb? I mean, the child eats, and
yeah,
the reality is they do. So going potty or going to the bathroom, being toilet trained is such a natural thing to do that I believe, in my experience, it can be done and taught at any stage. However, what about when the child is born? What happens as soon as the baby comes out? They eliminate, right? And then the baby has a meal, and then they eliminate some more. So can the baby really be taught how to go to the bathroom? No. And I'm writing a book right now on top 10 potty training tips for parents, and this is going to be one big chapter, because I think we got it backwards. You can't really be teaching potty training. What you teach is where the child has to go, where the poop and pee belong, because the child naturally already goes potty in a diaper or on the floor or in the toilet. We wish.
Yes.
So when it comes to timing, I believe as a culture in America, we have become comfortable using disposable diapers and pull-ups, and the child has become very comfortable as well. Therefore, we need to retrain or redelegate where this has to go. And in my profession, I teach the parents to kind of go cold turkey if possible. But some parents are emotionally attached to their children's diapers. And then the children are also attached to that security. So timing, yes, a lot of parents do need to wait, because we need to teach our child slowly. But others, you don't have to wait. You can start at any stage, and it's worked for me and my clients, and I believe it will work for other parents as well.
Okay, so I have a question. There is something called, and I know you know this, is called elimination communication. It's a practice in which a caregiver uses timing signals, cues, and intuition to address the infant's need to eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Because I had somebody ask me, can I teach my baby how to be potty trained when they're only 3 weeks old? And they heard about elimination communication, and they didn't really, they were asking, what is it?
Absolutely. Elimination communication is exactly what you said, Blythe, and I love it. I use it for my children. I teach that to my clients, and it's such an amazing opportunity for you and the baby to bond at a totally different level. And think about it when your baby is hungry. The baby doesn't speak. The baby cries, or the baby does certain mouth signals that you are able to read as a mom or dad. Same way with elimination communication, parents are able to respond from that bond, from that cry. There is a different cry for almost everything. And
yes,
babies
there
are
is.
so smart, they know how to use them to get our attention. And I remember back 10 years ago when my daughter was a newborn, I was asked by this reporter in Chicago. She was pregnant when she interviewed me, and I was pregnant. And she asked me, Adriana, do you also do EC? To be honest, I did not know what she meant. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, elimination communication. And, of course, I read that in some books that I had before, and I said, oh, yes. And she dared me to teach my daughter, who was going to be born just a couple months later. And my doctor, my pediatrician, was very much against a lot of those things. He said that only hippies do that in the woods. And since I lived in Chicago, I was not in the woods for sure. But my daughter became very severely constipated, and I was breastfeeding, and I had no idea what to do except EC. So we developed that bond within a few days, and I taught her how to go potty. She was potty trained in a couple of weeks, and she was not even sitting when she was going in a little potty that we purchased from IKEA. The secret to that, though, as soon as temperature hit that potty, the potty would go off singing. And that really gave her the signal that she went and she was done.
They have such cute potties now that let them know. Yeah. And, I'm glad you're talking about this because also we have parents that work full time, and this is only one way to do it. And on the show we talk about a lot of different things. But again, as Adriana says, as well as me, that everybody's different, every child's different, and you know what? This is one way to potty train your children. But you do have to be there because Adriana, I always think about it, as they get older, when your child is going potty and he's straining and he usually goes in the corner, you know what he's doing. So, there are signs that we can see if you're home, if you can do it, whatever works for you. But we're going to break for commercial, and if we keep talking, you're going to hear lots of music, and I'm going to have to talk really loud. But we have so much more to talk about with potty training with Adriana when we come back. And if you have a question for her, please call us at 877-864-4869, or go to the chat line on toginet.com, TOGINET.com. And again, 877-864-4869. We will be right back.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Do you want to get a contact high? Tune in for fun, inspiration, and motivation every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Learn how to maximize your mojo and just say no to the status quo. Get inspired and motivated by a fun-loving coach who knows what it's like to get through this thing called life. With your High on Life coach, Audra Irwin, each Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon Eastern.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com. That's TriciaGoyer.com. Tricia's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Tricia expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm so excited you could join us. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Adriana Vermillion. And, before we talk more about potty training, she wrote this great book called I Can Potty 1, 2, 3. The illustrations are beautiful, and it's so terrific for positive reinforcement if you're potty training your little one. Adriana, this is great. I just love the book.
Thank you. Thank you. I was so blessed, to be honest with you, by Bianca Paz, who illustrated these amazing pictures, and she's done such a wonderful job, and I want to pretty much give her all glory because it's kind of hard to come up with 500 words or less to write a book, but I think it's so much harder to come up with amazing color and illustrations.
And it's so cute because it's simple. It's simple, but it's right to the point. It shows this cute little boy sitting on the potty, washing his hands, brushing his teeth, and how proud he is of himself. If you're potty training your child, the book's called I Can Potty 1, 2, 3 by Adriana Vermillion. Check it out. Go buy it. It's adorable, and I know your children will love it. It's a great book to read together. So we were talking about elimination communication. Let's talk a little bit about getting ready to potty train. Are there steps?
There are a few, and they can be customized based on the child's lifestyle, and that's one thing that we do at Potty Generation. We create custom potty training plans. However, as a parent that may not be working with us, I would like to suggest at least 3 steps. Number 1, check yourself. Are you ready? Are you ready to take on this task? I suggest, if you are, pick a time when the child is less stressed about school, or maybe winter time and it might not be the best time, maybe spring or summer, where you can allow him or her to run around the house butt naked because that pee has to go somewhere, so eventually you can redirect that child. Second, allow the child to get psychologically and physically ready. And one question they asked me earlier, is there a time when a child is ready? Not necessarily. However, some children are psychologically ready and they might not be physically ready. So you need to be of that support. And 3, just have fun. It is a journey just like anything else, and it cannot be stressed. Potty training is one of the hardest milestones, and if you do it right the first time, you don't have to have a second time.
No, that's really good advice. So, in the past, what I've heard that you can tell your child is ready is if they know what to do, if their diaper starts to be dry, if they know how to pull their pants up and down themselves. What do you think? Are those steps part of it?
They are. That shows physical readiness and also psychological readiness, where the child is communicating with you. Remember, we talked about EC. The child communicates through crying and mimicking, or looks you in the eye and gives you a certain signal. The same way at every stage, there are different stages when the child is more psychologically ready, but that's a short window of time that you have as a parent. And in one of my blogs and one of my articles that I wrote recently, I went over those stages. It's 5 months, before 5 months, then you have 9 months, 18 months, 24, and up to 36 months. But it's so easy to miss it with all our busyness every day.
So with a 5-month-old, you really are using elimination communication because obviously a 5-month-old doesn't talk. So it's really all on you to be able to notice what the signs are. And, okay, so let me ask you this. So let's suppose you're going to try to train your 5-month-old, and you see the sign, and they're ready. What do? I mean, I know in other cultures they take a baby and hold it over the trash can. I mean, what's the next step? Do you run outside in the grass, or what do you do?
You have options, honestly, with the baby, because in different cultures, for example, in Asian cultures like India and China and Japan and other countries, you have a sling, so you can go anywhere. However, I just want to clarify that if you start at 5 months, you kind of miss that window of opportunity. Maybe you have a couple of weeks. But the best time to start with EC is before 5 months. And I would suggest around 4 months if you want to wait that late. Otherwise, start on day 1, seriously. Don't put your baby in a diaper, just use cloth, simple cloth like cotton. It doesn't have to be cloth diapers either. However, if you start, what you do, yes, you can hold the baby over a trash can, but I would suggest don't, because you might drop the baby in the trash can. What I did with my child and what I do with other clients, we hold the baby over the sink in front of a mirror. And we do that long enough until the baby knows what we are doing or why we are doing it. And shortly after the baby has some ability or some strength to the upper body, we sit on the toilet with the baby, making a little bit of room right in front of that toilet, or we sit on our bottom on the floor and hold the baby over the toilet. And that's the process of associate the baby with the process, with the toilet, with the bathroom, and so on.
Okay, so now this is EC, elimination communication, and it's not for everybody, and it's not the only way to potty train your child. Let's talk about little older child. You know, I know so many parents that give gifts, or let's use the word bribes. If you go potty, I will give you an M&M. If you go potty, I will give you a sticker, or, you know, let's make a potty chart. What do you think about those methods?
Sure. If you worked with me at all, you would know that I'm totally against incentives because they don't work. Honestly, the child will be programmed by you or our culture to do something to get something. When it comes to potty training or anything about rearing a child, you want to teach them that you're doing something for the beauty of doing that something. Some kids respond to stickers or stars on a chart. For others, trips to the bathroom or extra bedtime stories are effective. However, you need to experiment to give them the truth at first and let them know that you don't have to earn a star in order to pee, or you don't have to eat another lollipop in order to poop. Because what happens when the stars run out? What happens when the lollipops run out? And I would suggest that parents experiment to see and find out what works best for their child. Maybe in the beginning, you may need to use something because children are used to that at school, or maybe with chores around the house or other things that you might be doing as a parent. But reinforce your child to put their effort into whatever you want them to achieve.
And you know, that makes a lot of
ahead.
sense, and but it's all about positive reinforcement. And while you're teaching your children, it's about making them feel good about themselves. And I have to say, you know, many times I've seen parents use M&Ms. I really, if you're going to use something, I have to say I like the charts. If that's the way your family's going to go, I like using the charts with stickers because you don't give them so much candy, and they actually can see a chart on the wall and see what they've done. But, you know, it does have to stop it. That's at some point. You can't have a chart, you know, when you go to kindergarten. What about if there's many preschools that don't want to take children until they're potty trained, or they will take them and some of the kids are potty trained and some aren't? Do you think it's good for positive reinforcement to see their friends using the potty? Do you think that's helpful, or is it confusing?
I think it's very confusing. And I feel with a lot of parents that call our office because in many cities now, children go to preschool at 2 years old. And talking about when the child is ready, I believe if you have not practiced this at home, your child will not be ready until about 4 or even 5 if you waited that late. Some children give enough signs by 2.5 or 3.5. So when you take them to that preschool and they're only 2, it's so confusing and heart-wrenching because by probably 2.5, a child will be moved into another group or into another class. And parents are desperate because they can't move the child up because they're not potty trained. And other children, they cannot come to preschool at all if they're not potty trained by 2.
Right.
So it's not reinforcing. It's actually shaming, and that's something that I talk at length with parents at conferences or seminars, how shame does such a damage in a little toddler's life. So I would suggest, if possible, before you as a parent put a child in preschool, have them potty trained before, or just wait another year if possible.
You know, and the winter, well, not the winter. In many places it feels like winter, but the cold months are coming upon us. I mean, I always thought for myself it was easier to potty train in the summer because you can take the diaper off and they can run around without the diaper. Of course, you have to see the signs, and you can't just let them go all over the house. And, you know, as you say, the firemen, there aren't the fires. Yes. You're still teaching them.
Yes, that's right.
You know, I think, too, what you're saying, you have to have patience. And, you know, what do you do when a parent gets frustrated? We're going to have a commercial in about 2 minutes, so I don't want to go too deeply into this. But if you can tell me.
Quickly, what a parent needs to do when they're frustrated is pretty much the same thing they had to do when their child was a baby. And I remember my pediatrician saying, Adriana, when your baby cries, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. You just have to put the baby in a safe place, and you need to go in a safe place. So basically, time yourself out. You need a time out as a parent, and get back into that patient mode.
Right. I so agree, because you know what, we do get tired, and we work, and we do things, and I think the number one thing that parents do need to remember, if you get frustrated when you're trying to potty train your child, it's not their fault. This is just another learning, another milestone, and they don't go on the floor in their diaper on purpose because they don't want to. It's just that's the stage they're in, and that's how Adriana can help you. So when we come back from the break, I had a question about a special needs child and potty training the special needs, because that is another topic that could be very frustrating, and I'm sure you have certain tips, and I know you're an expert when it comes to special needs children and potty training along with everybody else. So when we come back, we'll talk some more. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
This is Uncommon Sense for Leaders, a forum for exploring leadership from the intellect, the heart, and the spirit. Whether you're a leader now or aspire to be a leader in the future, you owe it to yourself to learn about the big ideas that have shaped the careers of compelling communicators, masters of influence, and highly effective leaders. Uncommon Sense for Leaders. Tune in to hear thought-provoking ideas on every aspect of leadership. You can expect dynamic discussions with special guests, quick tips you can apply immediately for better results, and the tools you need to take you from where you are to where you want to be as a leader. Are you ready to crack the code for achieving unprecedented results? Then join the host for Uncommon Sense for Leaders, Catherine Carlisi, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the All Business Radio Network. This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
Do you want to get a contact high? Tune in for fun, inspiration, and motivation every Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Learn how to maximize your mojo and just say no to the status quo. Get inspired and motivated by a fun-loving coach who knows what it's like to get through this thing called life. With your High on Life coach, Audra Irwin, each Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time and 12 noon Eastern.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm so excited to be with my wonderful guest, Adriana Vermillion, the Potty Whisperer. And she has a terrific book called I Can Potty 1, 2, 3. And if you're teaching your child about the potty, you've got to get this book. It's terrific. I will have the links on my websites, babyinstructions.com, mybestparentingadvice.com, as well as all of Adriana's other contact information. She has a beautiful site with so many valuable tips that you don't want to miss. So we're up to our last segment, and I want to talk about special needs children because I had somebody send me a question about a little girl that was 4, and they're having a hard time potty training. And what do you do? How do you know? Besides hiring you, where do you start?
Yeah. First of all, let me say thank you to all the parents out there that take on such a responsibility as potty training a child with special needs of any kind. And second, you start where you are as a mom. You already know your child, or as a father or a grandparent. You already know where you are as a parent and guardian for this child, and how heart-wrenching it is when you want to impart this new milestone and kind of get over with, if possible, as soon as possible. And I will start with the negatives at first, not because I choose to, but just to make us aware of how difficult it is for a child with autism or other special needs and how hard it is for a parent. First of all, physically, there may be a physical or medical reason for toileting difficulties. Discuss, if possible, as a parent with your pediatrician, where to start physically. And then there is language. Children with ASD or autism syndrome have trouble understanding and using language, which makes it another difficult barrier for a parent. And I would like to encourage parents to not expect a child with autism to ask to use the toilet. And dressing. Some children with autism or other special needs have difficulty pulling their pants down or up. And there's so many fears. Children with special needs are afraid of sitting on toilet seats or hearing the whooshing or shushing sound. And other children that don't have special needs are afraid of that as well. So getting used to the toilet by using a visual schedule, for example. I have my clients take pictures of their child using the bathroom or clip pictures from online or magazines and show them, number 1, we do this, number 2, we do that. And we're also looking for body cues. Some children with autism or special needs altogether may not be aware that they need to go or that their clothes are wet or soiled. Then there is the need for sameness or routine. Many children with special needs already have their own, I like to call, inner landscape in their mind, what life looks like and what routine looks like. And they have their own ways of urinating or having a bowel movement. Some children like to hide. Some children like to be quiet. Some children want a diaper or other means. So learning new ways to toilet may be hard. Now, the last one I'd like to touch on really quick is using different toilets. Parents can probably agree with me on this. Some children learn to toilet at home or at schools, but have a very hard time going in other places, such as public restrooms. And with all that behind me, I would like to give a few tips if you would allow me.
Oh, please.
Is that good? Okay. All right. So first of all, if our special needs parents can write this down, tell, show, try, do. This works really well, not only with special needs children, but with everyone in your life. You need to first tell, don't ask. And with children that have special needs, as a parent or professional, do not wait for them to tell you they have to go or use the bathroom or to say yes if you ask them to go. When asked, they definitely need to go. However, it's very rare that a special needs child will ask. So go ahead and tell them it is time for a toilet trip or it's time to go to the bathroom or anything like that. Quickly about a schedule. I would love to suggest for parents or professionals that work with special needs children to make toilet trips part of their everyday life and plan those toilet trips around their usual routine. And I love to encourage parents to do simple things such as you wake up, you go to the bathroom first. You are going to have lunch, you go to the bathroom before and after, and so on. And children learn how to stick with that same routine day after day. Communication, as we said earlier, could be a very big issue because children with special needs don't always know how to communicate to you. So using the same simple words, signs, or pictures during each trip helps the child learn the new lingo. And as far as pictures or signs, I suggest parents go online and purchase flashcards or make their own because it makes life so much easier when it comes to communication. Oftentimes when parents try all these tips or more, they feel like they failed. The truth is you have not. There is just so much going on in a child's mind registering all this information, so you need to keep trying. I believe it takes 3 to 4 weeks to create a new habit, and it goes the same for your special needs child. And once you outline the routine and methods, keep working towards the same goal for 3 weeks. Example, if they learn how to wash their hands, work on that for 3 weeks before you get to sit on the toilet. Okay? All right, really quick, I will give you some points to practice. Parents, number one, and caregivers, they need to be supportive. They need to use encouraging language whenever possible and encouraging atmosphere at all times. So using positive words, if they are nearby, is very encouraging. Praise your child. Effort and cooperation, no matter how large or small, makes a lot of sense. Be calm. And as we talked earlier about, the secret is patience. And also be matter of fact. When you approach toilet training, is very important. It's very important also to stick to a schedule. As I said earlier, they have their inner landscape of routine or of how life happens. So establishing a time when toileting or practicing both inside and outside of the house is very suggested. Let's see, a couple more things I can suggest. Probably use the same words, the same lingo. Don't change things too much. And make sure everyone is using the same plan. So getting your spouse or all the teachers on the same plan is very important. Rewards. You know, I'm going to have to probably revoke everything I said earlier about rewards because especially these children, they love rewards. They love the excitement that comes with receiving something. And if you make a list of the child's favorite things, such as toys or videos or books, think of them, and at big milestones, you finished washing your hands, give them something. It's a quick reminder, and they do not interpret as a reward. They interpret as a stepping stone to the next thing. That's pretty much what I have for them. Yes.
Let me ask you a quick question because we're running out of time. Yes. If a parent with a special needs child tries it and the child is crying or screaming, I mean, I understand. You know, first you show them the potty, let them see how it flushes. Do they stop and wait a couple more weeks, or do you persevere and do it a different way? And I know this is the time to call Adriana, but
that's okay. No, you never stop. When it comes to special needs children, what I've discovered, Blythe, is that you never stop. You always move forward. And one tip that I love to give parents is, you know, set a goal. Set a goal for 6 toilet sits per day. At first, they'll be very short. A child may not want to sit for more than a second or two. So set a goal for 5 seconds per toilet trip. When it comes to washing hands, allow the child to take over, show them how to do it, tell them how to do it first, show them, and then let them try, and then do it. And it might take 3 weeks. It might take 4 weeks. And you don't give up, and you don't take a break. You always move forward, even if it means 5 seconds forward.
So basically, it's patience, it's perseverance, a lot of love, a lot of praise, and if you have an issue, you need to call Adriana. Adriana, I'm sorry we're at the end of the show because we could go on for a long time. I would love to have you come back on the show again. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I will put all Adriana's information on my website. Check out pottytrainingservices.com. She's got a terrific site. And again, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, you guys.
Wow, what great information. I mean, there's so much, and it's so important because, you know what, potty training is a milestone, and you don't exactly know how to do it if you've never done it, just like everything else, which is why we have Help My Baby Came Without Instructions and Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions. And speaking of that, I'll give a little push. The holidays are coming. They make great gifts. Check out Amazon.com. BarnesandNoble.com. I even have my books on Audible.com if you just want to listen. So next week, my guest will be a terrific author and dad. His name is Chris Whalen, the Foxhole Father. He's written a book, and he knows what it takes to be a dad. And Chris is so interesting. I mean, I love all his stuff. So tune in next week. If you haven't had a chance to visit my sites, you know, again, it's mybestparentingadvice.com and babyinstructions.com. I'm on Pinterest, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Reddit, I'm on everything because I love helping parents, and you know, we don't know what to do, and it's just trial and error. Every baby's different. Just love your baby, love your toddlers, love your children. You'll get through it, I guarantee you. So I'd like to leave you today with these little gems. As a mom says to her toddler, if you use the big potty, Mommy will give you an M&M, an Elmo DVD, and then a shopping spree to Target, and then maybe a Corvette. Ooh, isn't this easy? Boy, Adriana wouldn't like that. And finally, my other quote is, when potty training a boy, you will clean parts of the toilet you never knew you had. So thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.